We're going to begin our robust case when the Senate says it's time to start.
Jay Sekulow from Trump's White House defense team. We are joined by yet another member of the U.S. Senate, Senator Angus King, independent of Maine, who caucuses with the Democrats. Senator, thank you very much for, after a long day's journey and tonight, spending a few further minutes with us. Any evidence available to you that so much as one mind has been changed after all these hours and a wrap-up so emotional that Adam Schiff briefly lost his composure tonight?
I wish I could say yes to that, Brian, but I haven't really seen it, although in talking to some of my Republican colleagues after the session, just sort of casually, the argument, and I'm going to make a bold prediction here, the argument seems to have shifted to nothing really happened here to, yes, something untoward happened, but the election is in 8 months. Let's just let the people decide. I think that's I think you're going to see when this all boils down at the end of next week, that's going to be the primary argument. And the problem is, as Adam Schiff said in his argument, what may happen between now and then. I think, and this wasn't touched on tonight, but I think one of the important points that I hope will come out eventually is that the president has expressed no remorse whatsoever about what happened. In fact, he continues to say it was a perfect call, nothing was wrong, it was a hoax. And he still doesn't seem to grasp that putting pressure on a foreign government to get involved in your reelection campaign is not the American way. So if there's no remorse, then the expectation is if he's not removed, he'll do it again. Now, I should say at the very outset, I've been through enough trials to know you shouldn't make any decisions only hearing one side. So I want to hear what the president, what the White House's attorneys say over the next couple of days, and then we'll have a more balanced picture. But I think right now, I've taken a lot of notes. I've got them here in front of me. And at one point tonight, I wrote just from my heart, this is more serious than I thought. The depth of the evidence, and it wasn't just a random phone call where the president said, well, can you help us out? It was a concerted campaign that went on over months. And the evidence really built up, I thought, in a very powerful way. And of course, if we had witnesses and evidence and documents, we could really decide this matter rather definitively.
If you go home a week from Friday with no witnesses, no paper evidence, if this thing is done and dusted, what do you tell the people back home in the great state of Maine?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that I tried. You know, I voted for the witnesses the other night. I'm going to vote for them again when that opportunity arises, if indeed it does arise. I got to tell you, Brian, I just checked with my office. 95% of the calls we got today were people saying, you got to have witnesses and documents. 95%. I rarely get that unbalanced rating on people calling in, and a very significant number of calls from the state of Maine. So the people want, I mean, people have common sense, and nobody ever heard of a trial without witnesses. And it just, you know, you asked the right question. How do you go home? I don't see how my colleagues from across the country will go home and answer that question if they didn't vote to bring forth whatever witnesses and documents are available. And by the way, I have no idea what John Bolton would say. I think there's a 50-50 chance he could come in and say, I never said all of those things about a drug deal and everything. You know, Donald Trump is an honorable president. He was just trying to root out corruption in Ukraine. He might say that. I don't know. But I'm willing to take the chance because I think it's important for us. We have an obligation to try to get to the facts. And you can't get to facts without having witnesses and documents. I think the managers have done an amazing job of ferreting out the facts with all these emails and texts that they had available to them and made a very powerful case today.
Senator Angus King, independent from the state of Maine. Been a long day. Thank you for spending a few more minutes of it with us. Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, Brian.